I want to talk about the big picture with chickens. And I kind of started with this, how they are 97% of the food animals that are slaughtered. I really encourage people, when you're talking about these issues and the ethics behind them, include chickens. Because, people are making changes in their diet. They really are. And a lot of people are saying, oh, I'm cutting back on meat. I'm cutting back on meat. But when you poll them further and get details, oftentimes they are just cutting out beef and pork and replacing that with chicken, thinking that chickens are, stupider and they're, less emotionally complex than pigs and cows, or thinking that it's more environmental, or thinking that, it's just healthier. All these things are not true at all. And and actually these people, even if they're doing it for ethical reasons, can end up killing more animals because chickens' bodies are so much smaller. And like I was mentioning before, so many more of them are killed than the pigs and cows. So I think it's really important for when we're talking about this to include chickens in the conversation. Chickens get, such the raw end of the deal, and we really got to be their advocates and speak for them and include them in the emotionally complex, amazing, sentient being, world of animals that they are. So, I'd love to talk to you further about any of these issues. I know we still have some time, so we could maybe have an open discussion and get some questions going. I'm also going to be, I have set up a little table in the exhibit hall, so you're welcome to come out there. I have some UPC literature. I've got some of our T-shirts and other things, so I'd love to talk to you out there, and you can get some of our information. Also, too, I want to mention, these are some wonderful books that our president and founder, Karen Davis, has written. And they are just really, really wonderful, detailed books on the chicken industry. More Than a Meal on the left is all about the turkeys in myth and history, as well as the industry. The one over to the right, Prison Chickens, Poison Eggs, I have out on the table, and that is just a really in-depth look at the chicken industry. Instead of Chicken, Instead of Turkey is a cookbook of all kinds of wonderful chicken and egg common recipes that can be substituted for plant-based foods. And I just really encourage you to think about, talk about, and include chickens in your life, in your conversations. And thank you very much for having me.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you so much. I have heard that chicken can contain a leukemic virus or viruses. Can you lend any credibility or any kind of substance to that?
I don't know. I'll just say right off, I'm not sure about that. I'm sorry. I'll look it up. We'll look it up and find out. Yeah. Another question?
I just want to say how beautiful chickens are. I have a book about chicken. It's called Chickens. And they're from all over the world. They're so magnificent. Do you know anything about that? How the variety and they're just magnificent.
Yeah.
Anyway, my question is, I was thinking of getting involved with with turkeys. I feel I have an opportunity to go in and I had heard from the Humane Society that we could make their suffering much worse with a different approach to it. Do you know anything about that? And the Humane, I think his name is Wayne. What's his name? The head of the Humane Society. I heard him speak.
Oh, the Humane Society of the United States, Wayne Pacelli?
Yes.
Okay.
I heard him speak, and he mentioned, and I just feel I have an opportunity to do that. Do you know anything about that? About the methods used to kill turkeys, and that it could alleviate their suffering by a changing of the methods?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of talk about changing the methods of slaughter. There's now the gas chambers that some groups like PETA and others have touted as being more humane. These gas These gas chambers it's still a horrifying, terrifying way to die, and it still takes them minutes in these chambers. They pump the gas in, and they still suffer. You can see it visually that they're suffering as they're dying. And it's very reminiscent of something else horrible in history. So anyway, It's very difficult to find a humane method of killing. There's really no such thing. I mean, let's not desensitize ourselves to the violence that it takes to kill an animal. So at UPC, we really don't advocate for any more humane method. Let's not kill them at all. And I think we can move there. Yeah, that's what we want. That's the kind of world we want, and that's where we're moving in that direction. And just encouraging something, a little better way to kill them. Let's just not kill them at all. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the awareness. You mentioned earlier about emotions and feelings and how alive they are. When we eat, I mean, I don't eat animals, but I haven't for many, many decades. But is there something that we pick up energetically, the stress, the whole process of what they go through? Is that something that we as human beings who consume that, is that energy picked up, and does it affect us as individuals?
Sure.
What's going on with them, what their suffering was?
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, I would say yes. I mean, that when the animals are brought into the slaughtering situation, they know what's going on. They can smell it, they can hear it, they know what's about to happen to them, and the terror has to be so overwhelming, and all those stress hormones come out. I mean, they've got intensive stress hormones raging at the time of slaughter, and that goes into the meat. I absolutely think that energetically we're picking up on that as a society, yes. I think it could be a much more peaceful world if we would stop killing all these animals in such brutal ways. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other questions? And I'm just remembering we had a video that I forgot about. So we could watch the video if we want to. There's a 5-minute video that UPC produced that I did kind of want to show. Maybe, James, if you could set that up, since we have the time, that we'll go ahead and show that video, because it's fascinating, but it's only 5 minutes. So we'll do that after this question.
How are the chickens genetically modified?
Well, it's been, generations and generations of genetic modification, both just with breeding, just finding, calculating how many eggs each bird is given, and this bird's given more eggs, we're going to use her genes, and, so it's breeding. And now there's actually, genetic modification happening where they're splicing and doing all this, biotech stuff to get those traits that they want, the growing faster or the laying more eggs. There's a lot of genetic manipulation that's happened to these poor animals over the years.
Thank you so much for sharing your information
Thank
and really
you.
making us aware of how horrific these poor animals have, what they have to go through. And I'm never touching an egg again.
Thank you.
But my friend says that he's kosher, and it's a very humane way to work with the animals and being kosher. Mm-hmm. So if you can address that, and he'll watch this, because I'm going to put him onto this.
Right. Well, I honestly haven't done a lot of research on kosher, and I should, because I get this question a lot. I didn't put it in my book because it's not really what my book's focus was. It was more on the new kind of trendy labels. The only thing that I know, and I don't know about chicken slaughter and kosher. I don't even know if there is. Maybe there is, I guess. Okay, I don't know about it, honestly. But I do know with cows, the main thing, I think, is that they can't touch their own blood. I know that there's these contraptions where they'll lay the cow in it and turn it upside down and then slaughter him upside down so that the blood doesn't touch the animal. She looks like she might know about it. I know about chickens, but Oh, okay. Well, so, and, and then a rabbi, of course, is praying over the animal. That's part of it. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so little difference is what I'm trying to say.
It's less pain, but it's still slaughtering animals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not enough that they went through the Holocaust.
Yeah, yeah. I really need to research kosher. I honestly, I'm sorry, I don't know that one, but I get that question all the time, so I should definitely,
Yes, I've
I'll
heard
research it.
that the methods used, that they take every effort, it has to be unconscious, and also it can't, with the baby, they make sure that the mother does not see the baby. I think only one of them can be slaughtered. Anyway, all I want to say, I've heard of it, I can't explain it, but basically it is more really an effort to be humane in several areas when I've heard it discussed. Much more. So,
Okay.
you've got to look into it, but...
Yeah, I should look at it. I mean, I question whether it would be much more humane because it's still industrial production, but anyway. Do we have the video? Okay, let's watch. There is some graphic image. I apologize, just maybe close your eyes through that part, but it's, just the person next to you or down a couple seats away may have never seen it, so it's important, I think, for people to please bear witness. But it's just a really interesting video, what we did, so go ahead.
In the last few years, consumers have become more aware that meat, dairy, and eggs are bad for the environment, our health, and that animals can face unimaginable suffering in animal agriculture. As a result, there's a growing trend for products that are labeled humane and environmentally sustainable. Some examples are cage-free, free-range, organic, humane, and other classifications with images of lush, grassy hills and happy animals to entice customers to buy their products. We asked consumers their views on some of these labels.
What do you think life is like for a chicken on a cage-free farm?
No cages. No cages. I think they're probably happy. Yeah, I would say happy.
For chicken, it means that they be able to go and peck and eat freely anywhere they want to, and they have room to grow and roam.
Well, I visualize that they're just out in the field someplace, all together with other chickens, and they're free to go wherever they want.
I imagine that it's actually sort of like camp, where it runs up and down the field, it has expansion, it can fly, actually, it can integrate with other chickens, and it's not confined in a box.
While the hens are not squeezed into wire cages, cage-free hens are still tightly confined in windowless warehouses and never see the sun overhead or grass beneath their feet. Cage-free hens are typically kept in dark, crowded buildings by the thousands. The buildings are filled with concentrated excrement and ammonia that burns their sensitive eyes and throats. They're still painfully debeaked, meaning the end of their sensitive beaks are cut with a hot blade, which can cause chronic, lifelong pain.
How do you think the chicks are hatched in a cage-free or humane operation?
I would like to think that they're hatched naturally, the way they're supposed to be hatched.
I would think they'd be hatched in a nest with a mom sitting on it, not like an incubator, like you would in an operation. Natural.
I've never seen anything about how they're hatched, but I would imagine that they would be done in a softer, gentler way than mass production.
No matter the label or the size of the farm, it's not profitable for egg operations to hatch their own chicks. So the babies are born on metal shelves in industrial hatcheries and then shipped by mail to egg and meat facilities. Baby chicks are not hatched in soft nests. They are immediately thrust into a frightening world of conveyor belts, metal machinery, and tossed about like mere inanimate objects. No chick in egg or meat production, regardless of the label, ever sees their mother hen. At just hours old, the male chicks in the egg industry are separated out and killed as they are not profitable to be raised for meat. While still fully conscious, they are macerated by machines much like large blenders with sharp metal blades. Others are tossed into huge trash bins to suffocate on the weight of other chicks and slowly die of exposure and dehydration. The killing of billions of newborn baby chicks is one of the most brutal procedures in the chicken industry, yet it is hidden from the consumers and routinely practiced no matter the label on the product.
What do you think slaughter is like for a chicken on a free-range or cage-free farm?
Good question. I don't know. I'm assuming they probably go to the chopping block. I don't know if they're all corralled into an area first and separated from watching others have that happen or what. But I can't say I have much knowledge about that either.
Having not seen it, I don't know. I would hope it's painless and also stress-free.
I think it's horrifying. They know that it's coming, and it's unthinkable, and it's extremely stressful and horrible.
Most chickens, no matter the label, go to the same slaughterhouse as any commercial chicken, but some are slaughtered on the farm. Even in the very rare situation where chickens are not confined and able to go outside, the chickens are still roughly handled with insensitivity and are frightened and disoriented by being shoved upside down in the killing cone. As her throat is cut and blood spurts out into the catch sink, she kicks and struggles in agony, sometimes for minutes. Throat slashing is a painful, traumatic experience for a frightened animal. The neck is full of nerve endings and pain receptors, and many veterinarians agree it is not a quick or painless way to die. Chickens are often still alive and breathing when next placed into the tank of scalding hot water. Killing healthy young animals can never be humane or compassionate. Please, don't buy the lie, don't buy animal products, and join us in going vegan.
Yes, if you go to YouTube and Google the humane hoax, that's probably the first one that'll come up. The humane hoax. Yeah. It's also on our website. If you go to upc-online.org and go to our videos, it's the first one on the videos. Okay, any other questions? We have a little more time.
This one's just in relation to the little baby chicks that get suffocated and ground alive when they're born. I read recently that in Germany they're sort of manipulating them so that they don't actually give birth to male chicks, using science to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
I know it's not an ideal solution, but has America thought about doing that?
I have heard about this. What she was talking about is they are trying to genetically manipulate the egg layers to only give birth to females, so that there are no males to have to kill. I mean, what do you say about this? It's just, it's so ridiculous. And just so, again, just so manipulative and artificial, and, what we're doing in our food sources, it's just so, we've manipulated and put our hands in there and played God, and we've got to stop this. Again, it's not something that I would want to put energy into, because I think we've got to put energy into stopping it altogether. It's so ridiculous. But that is, and it's interesting you brought up, because I remember when I was talking about the male chicks and them being tossed out, another method of killing them is they will grind them up alive. They will go down the conveyor belts and just grind them up alive in grinders, and that can be used for fertilizer and other products. I didn't mention that before, so that's another method that they kill the males, so thank you for bringing that up.
When I was growing up, we had chickens, and we raised those same laying chickens and that, and my mom used to take a few out to put aside to be with a rooster, so we would get eggs, and that would make some breed of chickens that lay a lot of eggs. So I'm just wondering, how did they get to breed all those chickens without a rooster?
Well, one whole aspect of this that I didn't really talk about are the breeding houses. They have whole houses that look similar to the broiler houses for breeders, where they mix the roosters and the chickens together, the hens and the roosters together.
Oh.
Because, if people don't realize, chickens do have sex. They do have intercourse. Some people don't realize this. They think that there's like a fertilization that happens after on the egg. No, when the egg is inside the hen, then the rooster mates with the hen, and that fertilizes the egg to make it fertile to actually hatch a chick. So they have breeding facilities that are specific to getting the fertile eggs that are going to go to the hatcheries.
Okay.
It's a whole nother aspect that I didn't get into, but it's a similar situation, crowded in, debeaked, all those kinds of things. But they just mix the roosters and the hens together to breed and have fertile eggs.
Thank you.
Yes.
I had heard, I guess, from the Humane Society of the United States that they had come to some agreement. They were very pleased to announce some agreement they came to with the major egg producers. Can you tell me I can't remember what it was, and I wonder what it was and what you thought of it.
I don't really want to get into that. It's not something that UPC supports. We really, it's a bit of a controversial issue. What the Humane Society of the United States is doing, they're working with industry to make the conditions better. I don't really want to talk about what they're doing, honestly, because UPC takes a different stance. We feel that we need to move towards a vegan world, not just making the conditions better, but getting people to stop eating them altogether, stop using them, stop abusing them, stop seeing them as commodities. So that's all I'm going to say about that.